This is problem 3.3 from the end of chapter problems in the CFA Institute textbook, Corporate Finance, a Practical Approach. And in this problem, we're asked to solve for the cost of equity capital using the dividend discount model. All right, so the dividend discount model, the rate of return K, is equal to the dividend 1 year from now divided by today's price, that's the dividend yield, plus G, which is the long-term growth rate of the dividends. And to use this model, we have to assume a long-term constant growth rate on dividends. There's ways of structuring the model where even for a non-dividend paying stock, but it requires you to guess when the dividends start sometime in the future. But we have a lot of information here, so we have almost all the pieces just laid out in the problem. The dividend next year, and it's the dividend 1 year from now, is what D1 is. Not last year's dividend, not 10 years from now dividend. The dividend over the next 12 months. And that'd be $2.30. The stock price, P0, the price 0 days from now or 0 years from now, is given at $45. So I have D1 and I have P0. Now I need G, the long-term growth rate. Well, the long-term growth rate, G, can be estimated, if it's not just given in the problem, by the relationship between the payout ratio, that's how much of the company's earnings are paid to shareholders as dividends or other cash flows, and the return on equity. So if a company, here we have the return on equity as 15%. All right, so if they're earning 15% and they're paying out 30% of that 15%, they are retaining the other 70%. If they retain earnings, it makes the company bigger. So that means that the dividends that they're paying can be that much higher in the future. So to estimate G, we multiply the ROE, in this case it's 15%, is the net income divided by the equity, or the rate of return on the equity, by 1 minus the retention rate, or I'm sorry, 1 minus the payout rate. The payout rate is how much goes out, so the retention rate is how much stays in. So I can estimate G, my long-term growth rate, by using the model ROE times 1 minus the payout ratio. And in this case, that would be 15% ROE times 1 minus the 30% that they pay out. So the long-term growth rate's 10.5%. So my estimated cost of equity capital, D1 over P0, that's the dividend yield, or the cash flow portion of yield, and then add the long-term growth rate. And what I come up with is 15.61%, and that's answer C.